Hello, and welcome back to our playthrough of The Adventure. Previously on our story, our goblin protagonist realized that the shadowy entity that attacked her earlier that day was the result of human magic, and it signaled an imminent human attack. But at the worst possible moment, tensions between the radicals and the priests of the temple come to a violent clash, and rioting breaks out throughout the Temple of the Lady of the Moon, hampering our protagonist's attempt to communicate her message and triggering a nervous episode where she flashes back to the day of burning snow that began this story so long ago. What will happen next? Will she be able to communicate her message, or will she be forced to simply flee into the night? Find out right now as we draw the cards to determine exactly what happens. So if you want a more detailed recap of the broader story, check out my previous episodes and as well as a discussion of the rules of the game. But without any further ado, let's get a drawing. Dun 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 dun. Our thing card this week is a weapon. Okay, that makes sense under the circumstances. Yeah, it's not hard to imagine why she might need to pick up a weapon. It's good when things make sense. But hopefully our being card will make sense too. Dun 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 dun. Our being card this week is a new/old love. Okay, interesting. It's a bit late in the game to introduce a romantic subplot, if I'm being honest, but it's possible I can interpret love to mean loved one, which opens up a number of potential possibilities there. But with that, finally, our theme to tie it all together is dun 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 dun. Three of Wands reversed, which, according to my sources, signifies restrictions, limitations, lack of progress, obstacles, delays, frustration. Okay, that makes a lot of sense under the circumstances, but is not exactly what I wanted to hear. Does not bode well. Does not bode well at all. But let's see what happens.
On the 11th day after arriving at the temple. Sun, curse me, journal. I can't get through. Time is precious. I do not know when the humans will come. I need the aid and authority of the priests to carry my warning. But sun, curse it! I cannot get through to them. Maybe I should just take any who will follow me and flee. Maybe even writing this is a waste of time. No. I cannot leave while there is still a chance. I need to think of a solution, and for that I need your help, Journal. The high priests who yet live are held up in the inner sanctuary. Normally it would have taken me half an hour to get there, but today it took me hours. I hid at every noise, traveled slowly and carefully to remain unseen even by goblin eyes. I forced Rapunzel to hide in my bag so she could not scout ahead for me. She protested the entire time, but I dared not risk danger to her. With all that is in the balance, I cannot stomach the thought of losing her too. I grabbed a weapon as soon as I could find one. It's just a broken table leg from a defaced shrine, but it's heavy. If I get a good swing, I can knock out even a hefty goblin. Fortunately, I did not need it. Staying hidden, 3 armed groups passed me without seeing me. It was the 4th group that found me. Remember, Journal, that I am an idiot. I turned a corner and found a group of 12 armed goblins who traveled without making a noise. They were as surprised to see me as I was them, and I nearly bashed in the first one's head before he called my name. It was the gang of He Who Cuts in Darkness, and to my greater surprise, they were happy to see me. I had hidden from priests and radicals alike, thinking neither group would welcome me, and I would have been especially afraid of this group, thinking that He Who Cuts in Darkness had turned them against me. But no, he had not said a mean word about me, and his gang still admired me. Lady of the Moon, save the world from helpful, reckless idiots like me and these fools. I told them of the human shadow, of how He Who Cuts in Darkness really died, and of the human threat, and their welcome turned to fear and grief. There was one among them, he who steals in shadow, who wept loudly, dangerously loudly. It was him who had found He Who Cuts in Darkness's body, him who had started the riots. He blamed himself, not unjustly, for dooming all of us to human destruction. I told him to make himself useful and tell everyone who will listen of the human threat. 2 other messengers went as well. The gang listens to me for reasons I don't understand. We rushed then, as quietly as we could, to the inner sanctuary, where the gang told me the priests of the temple were. It will not surprise you, Journal, to discover who was blocking our way at the door to the sanctuary. There were 3 more dead goblins at the feet of He Who Stands Like Stone than when I passed him earlier. It will also not surprise you to discover that he did not want to listen to me, especially when I was leading a group of armed radicals towards him. It was all I could do to stop him and the gang from killing each other. Now we sit here at an impasse. I cannot justify the loss of any of our number, let alone these seasoned fighters, when there are humans coming. But I also cannot get through. I write this now because I do not know what to do, Journal. Should I force the door? But then what? The priests will not listen to violent radicals. Perhaps Rapunzel might. Later on the same day. Remember, Journal, that the world is beautiful. To the last, Rapunzel will save my life and drive me insane while doing so. While I was stopping He Who Stands Like Stone and the gang from killing each other, Rapunzel snuck out of my bag and, in the madness, slipped through the crack under the door to the inner sanctuary. It must have taken her some time and explaining to justify her presence to the priests and spirits within. It was a profoundly risky move, which I would never have let her do if I had known, but it worked. I do not know who was more surprised. He who stands like stone to have the door open behind him, the gang for seeing not just priests but the spirits of the dead within, or me for seeing my grandma open the door and welcome me in. We are trying to organize peace within the temple now, and prepare for the war from without, with leaders of both priests and radicals helping. I only pray that we have not lost too much already, that we are not already too late.
Well, that was session 12. The danger and excitement continues as the war between the radicals and the priests of the temple is, at least for now, put on hold while they mutually address the combined threat of the imminent human invasion. Whether or not what they saw today and the mitigating force of our protagonist will be able to produce a more lasting peace, we'll have to find out. Yes. But yeah, obviously we're beginning to come close to our conclusion now. Whether or not I am able to tie everything together depends on how well I'm able to play my cards. So, if you want to find out what happens next, come back next week.